Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's special guest is Dan Chrise. Dan was a broadcast engineer for Turner Broadcasting for 20 years, specializing in augmented reality, putting TV graphics over physical reality, and he became a helicopter pilot during his time there. When he retired, he wrote a book called Meet Your Galactic Neighbors, which is a collection of research that he has compiled since he was 22. He is passionate about drumming and teaching children to reconnect to our energetic Mother Earth. Hello and welcome, Dan, to my channel. How are you today?
Hello, Ellen. It's good to see you.
Hey, so you've got this great project that you wanted to discuss today about the children and reconnecting them back to our Mother Earth. Could you please tell us something about that?
Yeah, I've got a problem with the education that we've given our children. We've shown them math and science and English, but we haven't shown them about the energies of their own body. And throughout history, there have been many slices to be able to define what the energies of the body are. So I've boiled it down to three styles. First is the acupuncture out of China, Japan, that connects the body electrically. They also, through the acupuncture system, use meridians, which connect all of these dots to pathways of health for the body. The second paradigm of energy is the chakras. The body has 7 of them. There are many more. Some people only use a few and still survive. People who are openly healthy generally are using all 7. We can go into more details about the 7 chakras if you'd like. And then the last paradigm of energy is prana, or also known as intent. Prana is from obviously India, but the ideas of intent and prana are very synonymous. Mm-hmm. So using those 3 basic energy forms, I show the kids in the book how those energies relate to themselves individually, as a dynamic, as they work together as 3 individual people, and collectively as a group, they help to connect their energies and balance through the geometric parts of the planet, and we can commune with the planet. Now, let me back up a step, because how I got into this is kind of strange. Like you said earlier, I've been studying the truth since I was 22, since it was my time to actually focus myself into research that I wanted to do. And every avenue that I went down seemed to be Kabbalah. Kabbalah is the way to go. Okay, fine, let's follow the path. Living in Atlanta, I went to the Karen Kabbalah Center, and they've got a 2-year course on Kabbalah. Everything you wanted to know about Kabbalah. It was really awesome, really good, and I highly recommend it. At the end of the course, the woman teaching the course, Mary, she gave me these 2 pictures. It's kind of hard to see with the sunlight reflecting, and we'll show them in the presentation a little bit here. That you have to understand, Mary is one of these individuals who knows everybody in the occult business, knows where they are, who they are, a very intelligent woman, has wrote volumes of information and keeps it all within her mind. She handed me these posters on a table and said, Dan, I think these are, I'm going to give these to you because I think you can understand these. Well, I asked her, where did they come from? And she didn't know. They magically appeared in a closet when they were moving from one facility to the next. Well, as I started to look at these, storylines started to reveal themselves. And what I eventually found was 11 layers of data hidden within these posters. Within one of these 11 layers is a picture of the planet. Okay. And we'll get into some of these pictures in a little bit. And so there is a geometry that envelops the planet, has 13 nodes, and is the energetic chakras of the planet. Now, when I heard this, I'm a scientist. I get readings on things and I make determinations on things. I don't believe you. So I spent from 27 to about 45 traveling the world. I didn't get to all 13 sites, but the ones that I did, I took measurements. I took measurements with a milligauss meter. And this showed me that there are places on the planet that are not the same as everywhere else. I'll go into this a little bit. The planet on a milligauss meter level vacillates from plus 500 to minus 500. To give us a context, people are plus 20 and minus 20. And that's the average person. There are people that are bigger and there are people that are weaker. The people that register as minus are people that are accountants. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. The people who are plus are accountants and people who need the physicality of real. If I can see it and I can feel it, then that's those people. The people who registered minus are occult people and people that accept that there is more to reality than you can touch. So what I found is in many of these locations on the planet, there is an energetic setup. These areas cover 120 miles and have 4 nodes, a triangle with a center point, that are energetically speaking to the other 13 spots. And these 13 spots connect in 2 lines of communication. Well, as we had gone through the 70s and 80s, we had dug the trench in Panama. That had actually cut one of the lines of these communication. So much work had been done with John Melchizedek and some other people to reconnect those lines. Well, what I found in my research is that each of these points, although are energetically available, they're out of balance. Mm-hmm. So at that point, I figured we need to rebalance these, and with accepting that we are capable of throwing our energy, very small or very large, we can also affect the energies from the planet. So that's how I got to connecting people, their energies, and the planet. As I'm doing these readings, this meter that I'm doing is a milligauss meter, and it is very, very, very sensitive. It's made to do the gaps of magnets in industrial processes to verify that their Gauss is correct. Well, it's so sensitive in the application that I'm using it. I do 4 readings, northeast, southwest. And if somebody walks within 20 feet of me, it'll change my readings. So that was the connection, that people can affect the energy grid that the planet exists within. So I went through and let me share some pictures.
Yeah, sure. So you were able to actually physically go to each of these places and use your meter to determine what sort of readings to get. Is that
yes?
Okay.
So let me share this little guy here. So I do a conversation in the book. It's kind of difficult to express what the meaning of an acupressure point is to a kid. You can press on stuff and you can kind of feel stuff. But since the three kids, one of which is Malice, who is from Tibet. She is actually a street kid who's fighting with all the boys and tomboy kind of thing. So she's used to fighting with people. The third person is Odion, and he is a little boy from Egypt. And so how to show somebody how acupuncture actually works in the real world, I have them do a play fight. Now, Malice is fully knowledgeable about the full Chinese acupuncture system. And so the person who's leading these kids on their process asked Malice to turn off Odion's arm. And she goes to hit the pressure point and his arm goes. And that's the power of these points, is you can help the flow of energy or you can stop the flow of energy just by pressing on these points. Now they go a little bit further and they put needles and they put electricity in. That's a whole nother level to this, but it's all the same base. Mm-hmm. You can do this around the head with the trigeminal nerves and the meridians that go up through the head. You can turn them on and be healthy, or turn them off and not so healthy. And these are just different ways that Chinese and Indian cultures have put these into the same. Mm-hmm. One of the things moving forward into the next genre in the chakras is I didn't realize that, okay, there's 7 chakras. They go by colors from bottom to the top. It's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and lavender. But I never realized that these are the basics. They are based on the endocrine system. Each of these are based on glands that are within the body that can open up or shut down. My favorite one to use is the blue one of the throat. If you don't feel that you are within your power to speak about something, you won't speak on it. And that closes down your blue chakra of the throat. How this works is from the bottom to the top, they have to be open. And then from the bottom to from the top to the bottom, they fill. And then from the top to the bottom, they have to be clear. From the bottom to the top, they fill. So if you have a problem with over-sexualizing or not enough sexualization, your root chakra will never be full to fill your sacral chakra. And they build one on top of the other. So how I demonstrate this exchange of energy is basically how I just said it with the throat chakra. And I have one of the kids not being able to speak because of an emotional issue. And then we help them with that, and they have a way to view within the secret space program. And I need to go into that for a second. But so to open or close these chakras is your emotional stairway into your physical body. If your emotions are shut down, your chakras were shut down, and that area of your body will become diseased. So you have to keep everything open and flowing up and down within the chakras.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I know that energetically, a lot of people today are experiencing this, and One of the things that they're also doing, and this is from Marcel Vogel's studies, is that he said that we are actually storing, because we're storing so much information in our cellular body, that it's actually retaining water. And that's what's putting, you know, a lot of weight on people and stuff. But yeah, this is fascinating. I love that. I love talking about the chakras anyway. So please keep going.
Awesome, awesome. One of the other things that I did not realize, so a base definition of chakra is spinning wheel.
Mhm.
But I didn't realize how the wheels are spinning. And so this is a very good diagram that the root chakra is actually spinning orbitally around the hips. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are basically shields, and they're either going clockwise or counterclockwise, as you see in this. 6 and 7 are in the brain and overlay the pineal gland and the pituitary glands, which connect you, when they are healthy and working, to all the higher realms. And that's the big secret of all of the ancient mysticism, is that when you focus on the top of your head or on your pineal gland, the top of your head, these are 2 gateways to get outside your body and interact in the wider globosphere, unisphere. Again, this is showing that those glands overlay those chakras.
Mhm.
And there's a very intense connection to how open they are to your health. And these are different energy systems from
This
around.
is very important. You know, I'm not sure how much the school system even talks about health and the physical body anymore to their, you know, school age.
The only thing I remember is the pyramid of diet.
Yeah, I mean, the food pyramid, which was always backwards. And then we did have a physical ed course. I believe it was in early high school. And they just taught us, you know, the physical parts of the body. And we would do exercise and stuff, but it just wasn't anything this detailed, which I believe we do need to bring back into.
Well, let me go into this next topic, and I think that there's something very important that you're alluding to. So the third area of energy that we use is our intent. One of the things that, how I teach it in the book, is I have Odeon protect himself from malice, or go attack malice. And in the first attack, I have him attack her, that she is attacking him because she's going to hurt a family member of Odeon. In order to show these paradigms of energy, through my research, I've also understood that we are not the pinnacle of man on Earth as you and I communicate today. There are versions of man that are intergalactic and that are connecting without speech, that are basically the next level of man. It's already out there. They have a secret space program where they've developed Antarctica, they've developed space to where they're casual with aliens out there. So how I have them, I'll get back to that in a second. So I have him attack Malice with an intent of, let's get her because she's going to attack the protector. In the second instance, he attacks her that he's going to hurt her. And he doesn't actually do it because she's very good at protecting. Actually, she's better at him at fighting than he is. So when he does it with Malice, on the screens in the secret space program, you can see that the intent comes over as a red aura. Whereas he's protecting his family, his aura changes to a purple. Different extremes of the chakra scheme. He's being aggressive, he's doing maleficent actions, and it comes out red and dense. He does it out of protection, same actions, different intent, different color aspect. So those are the three aspects of the personality that I think need to be brought out as we go through our daily lives. You come across people that, oh, he just feels negative. Oh, I just like him. He's just awesome. And there's an exchange of energy there that is happening that is not being understood. And this is what I'm trying to bring up, is that although you had a bad day, when you come into a new situation, that energy is still with you. And unless you clear that stuff and present yourself in a new energy field to this person, to this new conversation, you're dragging all of that energy back with you into this new conversation. Now, that happens individually. It also happens as a group. So if you get a group of people, it's a much bigger effect. So it not only affects you, the people in the room, but it also affects the planet. It also affects other dimensional beings that are watching us. It also affects the macro to the micro. So I think those are important for this idea, for this picture, that your energy is not only affecting you, but the cosmos and the person next to you at the same level and the same intensity.
And so one thing, now I haven't read your book yet, and I do intend to, but one concept that is grasping me while you're speaking about this is, you know, number one, we need to start moving away from the idea of conflict where we're attacking each other, you know, but I can see that, and I don't know.
Well, in nature, you're going to have conflict.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, attacking people and stuff. I believe
your intent for that needs to change.
Yes, exactly. So, and perhaps now, see, like I haven't read your book, but if you think of it like this, if you say that you have that as one aspect of your book where someone puts out this ill intent towards someone else, and then the next chakra is, you know, the next emotion per se, and then moving up to the heart chakra, moving up to the crown chakra, and making it colorful so that even small children could actually, you know, grasp these different concepts to know themselves fully. Because as you say, it's teaching Kabbalah to children, which is all about the self. Most people don't even know what Kabbalah is, but I did take one of the courses there at the Kabbalah Center that you're talking about. So,
awesome.
And yeah, but I mean, I love the idea, but please, is there, what else is part of the book? Is it just about these children interacting with each other in an adverse way? Are there other examples?
No, these are actually team members. Let me go into the book a little bit more. So there is as I alluded to earlier, there are dimensional beings. We are not alone in this soup of consciousness. If that's true, just for this conversation, let's just say that there's 12 dimensions, and the dimensions above 8 don't have physicality. So everybody above 8 are light beings. The first dimension is mineral, second dimension is plant, third dimension is mammals and all of us and all that. Fourth dimension, you get into angels and demons and the split. Fifth dimension, that split gets even more diverse. The sixth dimension is where evil stops, and seventh dimension is, well, I'm sorry, that's not correct. They are so separate, good and evil are so separated that they are basically in their own dimensions in the sixth. Seventh and eighth, you are very close to perfected humans. So within the planet, as I said earlier, there are 13 chakras, and that means that the planet has 13 emotions. So what happens with the kids, they are introduced to the technology of the secret space program in order to show them the ramifications of their actions. They are a team that are working together. Although they have special abilities that are different from each other, they work as a team. And once they learn to, and I'll get to this in a second, produce a geometric form together, they work with the local populations in order to form that etheric geometric form over that section of the planet for that full moon for that portion of the year. So what I'd like to create is 13 celebrations a year and have a celebration to emanate these, I want to say genetic, graphic forms over top of the planet. Let's see if I get here. Obviously, I'm a drummer. Sound is very important to me. Sound and frequency are basics to each other. When you take frequency and you fold two things together, this is the idea of this picture, that these Platonic solids, Plato made 6 forms that have equal sides, equal angles, and there are only these 6 forms. They all have a frequency base to them. We are in control of more than we know. We are gods. We have the genetics of so many aliens within us that we don't know the power that we have, which is why they want us so bad. One of the powers that we have, the aliens call us leaky, because we leak energy everywhere. We're just everywhere. If you're able to focus that energy, in Japan, there's a Dr. Emoto who did research on intent and water. And so what he did was he took 3 vials of water and put them in front of a conference of auditors, accountants, not magical people, not people that think like you and I, just people that they register plus on their readings. Only what they see is what they know. On the vials, they had thank you, love, and you make me sick. They never mentioned them for the 3 days that the conference was going on. At the end of the conference, they took the glasses, they froze them, they sliced them and put them under a microscope. And Dr. Emoto took these pictures of the vials with the glass, with the ice that was chopped. If you have a appropriate positive emotion, love, appreciation, you get very beautiful symmetrical crystals like thank you and love and appreciation. If you have a negative emotion, I'm a fool, hate, anything like that, you come up with the middle picture, you make me sick. Not symmetrical, not pretty, not a crystal. Using this idea, there are formations on the planet. Let's see if we can, there we go. And so in this picture that I was given, is this format is one of the layers. And it took me forever to try and find it. Couldn't find it on the internet. For 2 weeks I looked, couldn't find it. I buy books and I don't read them, and I just put them in a pile and I get to them when I can. The top book on that list was a book on UFO and crop circles. Well, it was my aquarium triangle. Well, okay, at least I have a connection. Well, that connection turned to go back to Pythagoras. And he figured out way back that long, low tones have a long frequency, and high pitch have a short pitch. That's saying something. For 550 BC is when he lived. Man, that's impressive. So we move that story forward, and this is a common thing that I grabbed from the internet, nothing special, where they have thrown salt over top of a plate. Underneath this plate is a speaker, and they're going to play a tone, and then they'll crank up the frequency of that tone so it goes from bottom to top. But while we do that, it makes magical geometries. These are endemic to nature and available energy structures through sound manipulation. So if you don't mind, I'd like to play this.
Yeah,
If
go
the
ahead.
sound gets too annoying, turn it down. But
Oh, it's fine. I've seen these cymatic videos. They're really
that's
fascinating.
exactly what it is.
Mhm.
So this is a 2D cymatic situation. What we will be doing is a 3D, 4D, 5D cymatic intention on the planet. So what I love about this next one is he's just throwing salt. There's no organization to what he did, but the sound structure makes it this way.
Exactly. Now, have you tried this test at home?
No, I have not done this yet myself, but it's so ubiquitous that I believe it's true.
Yeah, I do too. And so I had this discussion with Lena, one of my guests, and she said that there's a difference between the digital cymatics program that you can use online and one that's analog. She said the one that is analog actually has all the beneficial frequencies, and the ones that are digital don't. So I'm not sure about that theory.
Yes,
But I
and
was
she
just
is
wondering-
correct. Let me go into that after this is finished, and we're almost done.
Yeah, I mean, so I had heard too about the crop circles that, again, we're dealing with consciousness. People have
And that, my friend, is exactly where we're headed.
yeah, and they've seen orbs. They've seen orange orbs out creating the crop circles. And that is actually consciousness from some other realm that is actually trying to communicate with us to give us some hints. And that
I agree fully. I
a
agree
lot
fully.
of those crop circles are actually 2D representations of 3D forms. So, yeah.
Yes, and in fact, let me get to the, as soon as this is done, that's my next topping point. Yes. And so here is that thought that you just said, but let me get back to your previous thought. Yes, digital sound recreation is not the same as analog sound creation. Digital will create the steps that it thinks are there, but will not get harmonics. If I make a slap, there's an echo. That's the first harmonic. There's a second echo. That's a second harmonic, so on. When you do those signals digitally, you only get the first, second, and third iterations of that frequency modulation. It does not carry the fourth, fifth, 17th. We can't hear the 17th, but we feel it, and it's there. There's information there. It's small, but it still affects you. So no, the digital stuff does not do an analog representation of a full sine wave, a nice sine wave. So going back to your previous thought, yes, what it's, and this is from Barbara Handclough, this is not my own, that 8D, 7D people, beings, are sending information down through geometry in 6D, electromagnetic fields in 5D, electrical archetypes in 4D that actually affect the ground in 3D. Now, you may see this as a little ball of light walking around, but these balls of light are not physical beings. So my guess is that they are 8th, 9th, 10th dimensional beings that are doing these messages to let us know something. One of those messages that they are showing us. So, and this is what was on the cover of Fred Silva's book, the crop circle that I was looking for. On the bottom right is called a lambda. This is a device that Pythagoras made in 550 BC to understand long frequencies to short frequencies. As you see, there are 3 parts to this Aquarian triangle, and one of them looks like an old 45 record player insert, if you know what that is. Mm-hmm. That form came into a specific UFO crop circle and actually fits the original tool that he made from 550 BC. And this is from a crop circle from 20 years ago. This sets up the frequencies. This sets up the geometric form that we will intend.
Awesome.
Each of these, the corners of these triangles are 120 miles across. The kids go through how to control their energy, number one, so that they're not so leaky. Number two, in Tai Chi, you play with a ball. You play with an energy ball. Well, you can actually pass that ball to somebody else and they can feel it. Okay, well, what if we make a pyramid instead of a ball? Instead of making that pyramid, 4 or 5 inches, let's make that pyramid 120 miles large. And so that's one of the things that the kids have to learn, is not only to control their own energies, they have to sync up with the other 2 kids. They have to form a Tai Chi ball or a pyramid. Then the 3 of them learn to merge their energies into one energy focus form, and then they can expand that. So as they come into a new area, of course, the first one they do is the first chakra, which is Shasta in California, Mount Shasta, and they find local citizens that are already at these points to energetically make up this form on that portion. The 3 children lead these groups of people to form this form on that portion of the planet. Then on the next month, in the next full moon that happens on the second chakra spot, they do it again. So these chakra points happen all over the planet. And as Ellen said earlier, I've traveled to most of these, a lot of these points. The 2 places that I've done the most intricate work and research on is the Yucatan Peninsula and England. Within England, there are primary spots that UFOs have done crop circles in their tales of history or places of power. Just throughout their legendary history, these places keep coming up, and there's a reason for it. They're on a grid line, they're on a planetary grid line that should be connected and talking within itself. A center point for this is Avebury, which is like Stonehenge, but huge. Stonehenge has maybe 20, 30 stones and covers basically 50 yards. Avebury has 3,000 stones and covers 3/4 of a mile. It's huge. Stonehenge, everyone is aware of. Glastonbury is, to me, one of the coolest spots for singularities on this thought. Glastonbury, if you may not know, is the final resting place of Mary Magdalene. After she left Jerusalem, she went through France, and there was a bunch of churches deemed to her honor. And after she went through there, she ended up in Glastonbury, and she's got a church and things set up to her there. To me, what blew me away was in Glastonbury, it's basically a flat plain with one 10-story mountain, but it's only 50 yards across, and it's 10 stories tall. It's just out of nowhere, and it happens to be the center of the single node for this geometric spot. It was just beautiful, the symmetry. The next spot is the Rollright Stones. This spot is actually 3 spots, very close. They're probably within 2 football fields of each other, these 3 areas. But in order to make this sigil, you need 3 spots, and you need 3 different tones to make this form on that portion of the planet. Okay, that's cool, neat. Just how the last spot is Greatham. When I went there, I asked them, so what makes Greatham great? The people have lost their own local history. Part of it was World War II had obliterated part of the town, and they just kind of moved the town over a little bit. This form that we're trying to form here is actually a 12-tone segment. And so Azucena, who is the 3rd person from Peru, takes this spot. While they are in these spots, they are able to emanate and feel each other, which is something that we can do today. Connect with each other, make these forms, and connect these forms all together. While they're doing this, they're teaching the local people what they're doing, how they're doing it, and why they're doing it.
Yeah, so it looks like it's triangulating the central point, actually.
Yes.
So that's, yeah, that's really interesting.
So all of these points come together in 13 chakras across the planet. These chakras are connected with 2 lines that go the opposite way. And this is the energetic health of the planet. When these lines are healthy, the Van Allen belt is healthy and dense. The Van Allen belt is a electromagnetic, it's a magnetic field that is outside the physical planet, inside the atmosphere, and it is the way that we interact with the galaxy and the solar system through that field. So as I was talking about earlier, you can see that the first part is in Mount Shasta. The second chakra is Lake Titicaca, but there's a gate in between at basically the Mayan areas. This is Palenque and El Tul. Just fabulous. The amount of architecture that is very specifically placed in those areas of Yucatan Peninsula. There's more math there than they know. So I was really surprised and pleased with Palenque and El Tul and this whole area of Yucatan Peninsula, solely because it's very obvious. There's 2 layers of consciousness within this area of archaeology. You have the people who built things and the farmers, and they built their house. It's like rock. I need a ceiling, big slab. There's holes everywhere, and it's not even. It's huge. I could do it like that. Okay, great. Then you've got the palaces and the temples, and like Egypt, you can't put a credit card between these rocks. They're so well built. This is not the same technology that the people built their houses with. You look at the music, they've got a tick-tock and a big boom. And that's their music, and they've got a 3-note flute. This is not a complicated group of people. But then you look at their math system, and it's 13/20 with a 52-year time cycle. That doesn't add up to me. This is 2 different layers of technology existing in the same plane, where you've got a planetary consciousness setting up this chakra system that are using the local people as workers to facilitate this planetary energetic system. And this is what I'm in the process of re-putting together the knowledge of and putting it out there. We have the power within our own group consciousness to become in balance within ourselves, within our group, and within the planet to become one consciousness. And the real goal of this is to access the library that is the planet. We are the librarians of the planet. And if we can come up to the frequency base, we can commune with the planet and understand the library that is our planet. And that's my goal. That's what I'd like to do.
Yeah, I mean, we need to bring this knowledge back to the forefront of humanity's consciousness, because right now we've lost the integrity to even care about the planet that we live on, and the environment that's all around us that's failing right now.
Well, and really, I think, sorry to go conspiracy, but I am Conspiracy Dan. Not being able to touch anybody and give them a hug, wearing a mask and not seeing their faces, these are developmental human needs that we are restricting ourselves from and separating ourselves. And this is the exact opposite way that we need to be going. We need to hug. We need to be friendly with each other and give some space and understand we are fibers of hair on this electrical planet. And we, with the emotions that we give and receive, subject our planet to the goods and bads of our emotions. Mm-hmm. And if we are able to control that, I think that our planet is going to be much more open to giving us the oxygen and things that we need to eat? Yes.
Yeah, I feel like deserts are not normal, you know. Most people think, or but maybe they don't even think about it, but I don't think the desert plains are actually normal. I think it's because it's been out of balance for so long, and there's been wars on this plain for so long that, you know, the scars are there. The evidence is there. And people
Oh,
are
yeah.
digging it up right now. They're digging up all kinds of information because this is the time of revelations, where we will find the truth. It's been buried right underneath our noses for so long.
So
But
there's a lot of information in this book because it's everything that I've researched for half a lifetime.
mhm.
One of the things in the book is I've got a timeline of the universe. As we understand it, the universe, to our understanding, is 16 billion years old. And that's what man has. I've assembled a almost trillion-year history of galactic events. And one of the galactic events was the Gobi Desert and the Sahara Desert were places that they created humans, 2 of 5 places on the planet. They destroyed those 2 areas, the Gobi Desert in China and the Sahara in Africa, to cover over our actual past. If you dig in the Gobi Desert down to where, 13,000 years ago was, you're going to find a completely different civilization. And the same with the Sahara. They were destroyed in a war. You are very correct. We have had many wars on this planet and many civilizations that we won't talk about, but I've got it in the book.
Yeah, well, I definitely think that, you know, as we continue to dig beneath the dirt in different places around the world, we're finding, or at least these archaeologists and other people, they're finding so much information right now about the history that's been lost to us. And there's so many questions now, since they, you know, the controllers from the Vatican have been just touting, oh, we've only been here for a few thousand years. It's beyond that, obviously.
Well, I was in vacation in South America, and I ran across a guy who was the historian for DC. Oh my God, that's huge. Okay, let's talk to this guy. And I started to go into that there were giants, and that those skull and bones have been destroyed by the Smithsonian, because his daughter works for the Smithsonian's, why I went into it. And he's, oh, no, giants don't exist. Giants don't exist. Oh, really? So I came back home and I did my research, and I found new information that I didn't know. In Guadalajara, there is a museum where they actually have a 12-foot skeletal statue of a human. So I gave him 14 pages of research and stuff, and he wouldn't even acknowledge that I wrote it. He took a different turn and was more about his ego than the data. There was so much data, it has to be true. As somebody who is inside and purveying the story to politicians and whoever's their guests, doesn't accept that reality is possible. It's a shame.
Yeah.
So people like you and I have to bring this information out, because the system doesn't want us to know this, doesn't want us to know the power of our own energy being, that we can connect to anyone across the universe anytime we need, anytime we want. We're never alone, and there's positive people that will help you.
Well, it's amazing to watch all of this come to fruition, because I've always been that weird, curious child all my life, you know, that didn't quite fit into society's norms.
I have no idea what you mean.
You know, it's just, we kind of sit here on the fringe of society going, okay, what do we do now? Because
So what was the first thing that you saw that was like, I don't buy it? Do you remember?
I don't know. I've just had revelations throughout my life where I mean, it's stuff that you can't explain, and there's nobody else to compare notes with. So, you know.
Well, that's why I enjoy you, because we are on the same plane and we can trade notes, and you come from a different perspective than I do, and we can learn from each other, which is just awesome.
Which is why we put this channel out. You know, this kind of stuff needs to be out there so that people know that they have a place to go to where they can actually feel accepted, you know, against this whole what we call normal society. Obviously, our society is not normal, but people look around and think that it is because they're still lost in the matrix instead of returning home to the heart source. We'll get there eventually.
Well, eventually. So part of my research is our place in the universe and what our solar system is moving into. And I don't know if you know about the reversal of the ecliptics and how we're on a 26,000 year rotation around galactic center. So in that transition around that circle, the energy in space has different densities. So we are coming out of a low density area of space, and we are coming into this area of Aquarius. Well, this is also moving us, our solar system is moving into a higher energetic base for us. Mm-hmm. Within this, the negative entities are no longer able to be open with what they're doing. So as this transition happens, they're getting pushed away and pushed down. What they've done in the past, because this is not our first time around this turnaround, is they've just gone over to another area and dominated another civilization or hid. And then when we come around again, they come back in, and then we try this whole thing again. So we are valuable merchandise that they charge for loosh. Are you familiar with the term loosh?
Yes, very much so. Robert Monroe. Mm-hmm.
So this is, for those who may not know, when we are angry, when we are depressed, we emit negative, what they call loosh, negative energy. And on fourth and fifth dimensions, they are able to extract that from us, feed, give it to others, and it has many uses. We are extraordinarily vibrant beings within this universe, creative beings beyond repair. That's what they want. They don't have a connection to source. When they die, they die. They don't get reabsorbed in, reprocessed by source, and then kicked back out into the universe. They're one and done. They want what we have in creativity and immortality. Although our body may not be immortal, our soul is. And that's what they want. And that's what they're trying to get from all these UFO abductions and all that. They're trying to put themselves in these bodies. And so if they're able, I mean, with this current meta and all of that stuff, if they're able to inject graphene oxide, which is sonically resonant and can be activated sonically, sonics are the same rules as magnetics. They both work on the same basic fundamentals. So if you're able to do something with a sonic and move that sand into a formation, you can do the same thing with magnetics, which you can do the same thing with 5G. So if you're able to control biology with 5G and graphene oxide, you're able to make somebody healthy or make them sick on control. So we have a choice as a humanity. We're back to Atlantis decision time. Do you go technocracy and put yourself in the metaverse and trust all of the technology? Or do you trust yourself and your own energetic being? And I think that's the choice that we have today.
Exactly. That's what's going to determine the two new Earths. You know, we got the new Earth and the old Earth, and the old Earth stands as the natural one. And the new Earth is actually going to be this technological advancement that we're going to be taking control of once it is taken out of the hands of the cabal.
Man, I'm waiting. I mean, I thought this was going to happen like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I know, right?
Can we get something happening here, guys? Come on, military. Can we make it
I
happen
know.
here?
And Lena and I discussed this just a little bit the other night. We were talking about this whole timeline thing and why they're pushing it so hard, so fast, is because they have the technology to look into the future. They have the looking glass technology, the chronoscope, the chronovisor, the Delaware camera. All of these things utilize crystal technology to look into the future and into the past. They already know the past, but now in the future, they have tried to alter timelines. And all roads are going to lead to 2030, is what I've heard from 4 different sources. Lena was actually saying that she disagreed with me, that you can't put out a date. But I beg to differ, because if you have the capability to look into the future and to see if you can alter the timelines, you will know exactly when, if this is actually going to be happening, because it seems like something's happening because they're freaking out right now. Then, if all roads are leading to 2030, what's the big hurry that we got going on?
So let me give you a little different information, because there are so many things happening. I don't think any one person can be right. Another thing that happened, the Philadelphia experiment. So when they moved that ship on August 23rd, they didn't realize that they had created a time slip. Time works in 20-year bands. And so that time slip has come back every 20 years and has gotten worse every time it has happened. So now in 2023, in August 24th, we're expecting to see a time rip, and nobody knows what's going to happen when that time rip happens. So that's one thing. So you can be pro-Trump or anti-Trump, and I've been both. I was surprised when he came out and was pro-vax. That was kind of strange. Mm-hmm. When many of the moves that he has done have been to help humanity and destroy the financial capabilities of the cabal. But I also think that he's just a player within a larger scope. He was asked to play a role in this larger scape of things. They originally, it was termed 2021, and then they changed it to 2030. Recently, Klaus Schwab and Lagarde and the rest of those guys went down to Antarctica, which is also in my book. The Nazis basically, Germany lost the war, World War II. The Nazis won the war. Mm-hmm. And have basically taken over the planet, and their main base is Antarctica. Remember, this is Conspiracy Dan. So they have been UN and Council of Foreign Relations since the get-go. They have been trying to continue their reign ever since they lost World War II. In this fight, I believe that some of the actions that Trump made helped to thwart what they did. Seeing John Kerry go down on the day of the elections to Antarctica, and then now we see Klaus Schwab and Lagarde go down, but now we haven't seen anything from those guys. So what's really going on right now? I think this is a wonderful time. I hope that this is the time of the flip. The economy can't go on for much longer, or can it? They're controlling both sides.
Yeah.
At some point, this is my belief. This is not a war that men are going to win. I think that this is a war that women holding the line for the safety of their children can win. I don't think that this is a war of physical, I beat you. No. I think that this is a war of information and applicableness. Do you agree to take this? Do you agree to subsume yourself inside the metaverse for the rest of your life, live on a simple couch, eat simple food, but you have a grandiose life in the metaverse? The problem with that is nature wins. At the end, nature will come knocking on your door, and you're either ready or you're not. You're involved or you're not. And so that's where I think where we are today is it's a big crapshoot. And we're in this tumultuous time. Let's see it happen.
Yeah, we're basically in the battle for Middle Earth. I don't know if you've seen some of these maps. There was one that supposedly came out recently from Nepal that shows our land masses that we currently know. The Arctic Circle, which is actually a ring that goes around all of it. And then outside of that ring is another set of land masses. And then there's another ring around those land masses. Now, I don't know, because
and the thing is, I can't say yes or no to that, because we have been genetically ripped apart from a 12 DNA source down to our current only what you need to survive 2 DNA strands. So we are not supposed to know. It's physically difficult for us to fully understand. So we're just trying to come above water.
Yeah. Well,
we are not the top dog. We are not the bottom dog. We're somewhere in the middle.
But
we're special. We just have to understand how.
We're the children of God, though. So the children of God have godlike powers. And I don't know if you know about the article that came out in 2007 about the little boy who had 3 strands of DNA.
No.
And the doctors went, what is this? This is baffling. So in all the spiritual realms, they talk about our 12 strands and how we will be getting them back. Now, DNA, one thing to note about our DNA, it is made of light, because we're all made of light. Where the whole concept of it's like one big projection screen, and we're being projected into this reality somehow. And so we're supposed to be getting the DNA to start activating, like it's just going to pop into reality. You've heard about the Mandela Effect. Well, that's real too, obviously, because I've seen it happen before my own eyes. And these DNA, as we progress through these different times where there's more light and the frequencies, the human resonance is going up, everything's rising, we're supposed to be getting that DNA is supposed to just go pop. And then Lena says that we can activate it just by talking to it. I don't know. I do believe that the sound of our voice is very powerful and can do magical things, because spelling is a thing. But, things will be left to be seen on a lot of this. But I do believe that we are in strange times, things that are unprecedented that we have never seen, because we've seen all this normalcy, which is the daily droning as slaves. We've been slaves for too long.
Sister, come on.
I'm telling you, I'm tired of it all. That's why I said I'm out. I'm walking away from these jobs. It's 9 to 5. Or it's not even 9 to 5. It's more like 4 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. I'm tired of that kind of life. So I decided to just go out on a limb. What can you do? We're supposed to start turning to our heart-based reality. I signed up. I was one of the first. I'm like, sign me up. I'm out.
No, I will always return a hug with the intensity that is given. You accept children for what they are. You accept animals for what they are. You just have to be a little bit more accepting. There are still evil out there. You still have to protect yourself.
But they taught us to be afraid of each other and angry at everything. This is all.
There's scarcity. You don't have enough of this, so you need to go beat him to get that.
Yeah, and so now we need to look around at the abundance everywhere that's available for everyone. But people don't have the eyes. It's all in the mind, it's a manipulation.
Well, there's a larger picture of people that are managing. Unfortunately, those people that are managing aren't managing for our health and best usage. So that needs to change, and we need to take our own sovereignty back. And like you said, working all day, everyone's sleeping at night. When you wake up and your heart's pounding, you are providing loosh to the other dimensions. So I know this is difficult, but learn to control your unconscious sleep and don't let them, because they're interfering with your sleep.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming in. These are interdimensional beings that are feeding from us at our leisure. So either you provide that loosh, that fear, oh, I'm going to get sick, I'm going to do this and that, or you attack, or you're either in fear or you attack. And that's where I've been focusing my recent, is how to use this energy in positive ways and attack those people who are feeding loose and transferring that currency.
Oh yeah,
But that's a
well,
discussion for another time.
I'm basically starting the Defense Against the Dark Arts program with this whole Crystal Brigade thing that I'm doing, because when you start learning about what these crystals can do, it's like, oh, we're entering into Harry Potter world now. It's going to be legit, once people catch on to it. But we have to have integrity when we're using this information, because it is very powerful. And it ties into everything. That's what's interesting about learning about the crystals. It starts teaching people the oneness factor, that everything is connected, because everything is crystalline, actually, because it's water. Water is crystal. And anything like that, it's all tied into one thing. The ether is also a water.
It's all one.
Yeah, the oneness. We're going there, but we live in a dense, slow reality. And it's painful to watch, because you and I, people like us, we just want to be on the other side. We're sick of this.
Let's move, baby.
And watch. I'm already on the other side, but I'm just like, wow. Can I just go on vacation for a while I wait for everybody else to catch up? Yeah, I love this whole concept, though, of what you're doing. To get back to what we were originally talking about with this whole book that you've done, I'm really curious to see this come to fruition and get into the masses. So I like sharing this information out there with the public, so that way people can take, even if it's just seeds that we're planting in people's minds. But the children are the future, always, with any generation. So what are we teaching them? What can we expand on so that they can carry forth information and knowledge into the future?
Well, within my book, not only do I talk about the 3 dimensions of those energies, I expand it out to 15 layers of interaction of your aura and how these layers help and hinder you. So yeah, you have to take control of yourself first, balance it, control it, then get with other people that are of like mind, and then we can start to affect things in a large scale.
Well, tell me this. So what age range would you say your book is catering to?
There's some big words in it, so I don't think I'd go lower than 8, but definitely 8 to 14, the Harry Potter range.
Yeah, okay, that's good. And yeah, we should maybe consider, and I don't know if you're interested in doing something like this, even coloring books or something for the younger children.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Something that has some of this information so that the children can start to familiarize themselves with the energy body and all of its facets, because it is multifaceted.
Oh, yes. Well, unfortunately, the book is big. It's 650 pages. There's a lot of information in there. So yes, there will be a need to cut it down and condense it. But I've had 2 mothers come back to me who have read it to their children, and they read it like every other month. So that's really cool that they put it into their reading circle table.
Yeah, the curriculum. So have you thought about teaching an online course for each chapter, possibly to the children or to the public?
I could easily do that. It is so applicable to a class format. Yes, my eventual goal is I want to travel the planet 13 times a year and start these parties and make these celebrations endemic to each of the cultures that are there, so that through time immortal, we will be connected as a consciousness, a collective consciousness, to our 13-dimensional planet.
And you know what? All you have to do when you decide to go on this quest, whenever you go throughout the year, oh, I would say for me, after all of this show is over, I would be willing to go out into the world. I'm not willing to go and get tested or do any of that stuff right now.
Neither am I.
But once the show is over and we're on the other side of this great war, sign me up. And then also we will put it out there to other groups to announce this whole, like, hey, we're going to show up over here and we're going to have a party.
So as I've done my travels around the planet, I have met certain individuals that are on the same pathway. I know that there are other groups that have some of my information and have information that I don't have. And so collectively, if we were to bring this all together, you know, there's more synchronicity at that point.
Oh yeah, exactly. You know what I love though? I find that if you just decide on a date, like a 2 or 3 months in advance of where you're going to go and, you know, what day, you just go without really necessarily planning a whole lot. Just say, hey, look, we're going to show up over here. We're going to do this. And things just start working out. I mean, you wouldn't.
So, and that's how the book actually is wrote, that the kids show up at their first site and nobody's there, except for 3 people of locals, just enough to fill out the energy spectrum and continue the storyline. You know, and that's how it happens. And by the time they get to the end of it, there's a whole party happening. By the time they get to Africa, the whole thing is happening and popping.
I love that story. But yeah, that I think is a great idea. You've got some wonderful information here. And especially with this, you know, hey, listen, again, you know, we're going back to Masaru Emoto, Marcel Vogel, all of the things that they've discovered that we can do with our minds. You know, I know there's more people, but these are the 2 that I'm just like, this is such powerful information. I have been going around and clearing earth energy just with dowsing rods and a crystal. We can do this without any of this, but at the same time, it's like they are tactile instruments. They're like tools that we can use to actually physically feel a difference in frequencies. So
well, let me get you there. So the nodes that I'm pointing out in my screen here are the positive nodes.
Mm-hmm.
There are also negative nodes, and those are the ones that we have to really go after and clear with crystals and group consciousness. So this is the positive aspect. There's also a negative aspect that overlays this, that is the actual fight. This is the positive fight, and this is how I choose to approach this. But as they do sacrifices on that spot of that location, that tunes that spot in a negative node.
Oh yeah.
And so we're fighting a battle here.
Well, it won't take long to turn this ship around once we get the people with the eyes to see it all, because right now people are still living in fear. You know, the majority, I would say. There's a lot of people that are awakened though, and they know that we need to come together to actually physically make these changes. And those are the people that I've actually connected with, and we're doing this Crystal Brigade thing. We're learning about the crystals. I'm teaching them what I've learned from Marcel Vogel's work. And then I'm encouraging them to go and explore their world using this technology. It's amazing stuff, really, because it's taking action. It's actually saying, hey, look, we can actually go out and do things right now. We don't have to wait for med beds and for the cabal to be exposed. We don't have to wait. And Trump is not going to save us. Nobody's going to save us. We have to do it ourselves.
That's right.
So this is powerful information, and thank you so much for all of this, for sharing this information, because
you're so welcome.
It's what we need right now, is to connect, and that is why they're trying to keep us apart.
Hugs are a big deal.
Yes, they know we're more powerful than them, in the numbers especially. So they want to keep us in fear to keep us controlled, but it's breaking down, and I love it. I love watching every moment.
Well, there's 7 billion of us, and there's only 3,000 of them. And really, there's only 300 of them. And really, there's only 13.
Yeah.
You know, so there's more of us than there is of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, their little slaves have gotten out of control now. So it's time to.
But bastards, how dare we?
It's time for us to rise and shine. Here we are. It's the moment.
It's time.
All waited for. So, all right. Well, thank you so much. Do you have anything else to share, or is this good?
So this is one of my projects. The next project will be the timeline, a trillion-year timeline. I'm putting it in my brain right now so that I can make a presentation of it.
Yeah.
And in that timeline is the creation of the Matrix, all of the aliens, and the galactic story of why man was created and how we got to this point today. So that's my next project.
All right. Well, that sounds amazing too. So keep us informed as to when you finish that project.
Ellen, I can't wait.
All right. Well, if that's all, then I want to bid you adieu and thank you so much for sharing your project with us, because this is going to be the knowledge for the children of the future. You know, we need to bring this to the masses, but the children are the future. So we have to start imparting this knowledge into them, the little seeds that will plant inside them so that they can create the world that we all wish to see. Thank you so much, Dan.
Ellen, thank you so much. I very much appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing this, and we'll see you soon.